Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Grow Through It podcast. My name is Julia and today we have a very special guest, my first guest ever on this podcast, and I couldn't have asked for anyone better. Today I'm interviewing my dad, Lawrence. Welcome to the podcast, Dad.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me and being the first one.
Of course. So a little bit of background, my dad practiced reflexology since before I was born. And with this practice, as well as his mindset and spirituality, he really got me started on many of the things I'm interested in, as well as my mindset. So today we're going to talk about all of those things. To start off, can you tell us a bit about your background and how you first got into reflexology?
Okay, so as I am visually impaired, I have an eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa. And so I've been listening to audiobooks for years, and back in the early 90s, I was listening to, back then they were on cassette tape, so that tells you how far back that was. Now, I joined a library service out of Toronto, it catered to the blind, and they would send books out that you could listen to. Now, I didn't have any particular book in mind, but I had categories checked off. And one day I got a book in the mail on reflexology, and I didn't have anything else to listen to. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. I kind of had a vague interest, not a vague interest, but I vaguely knew a little bit about it, not a lot. So I started listening to the audio, and at the time I had hurt my neck. In the gym, I used to do some powerlifting. And so what happened, I was following the instructions, and I was working the neck reflexes on my foot, and I was working the neck reflexes on my other foot, and a few other things they suggested in this book. And about an hour later, I felt results, and I thought, there's no way that this could work that well. And so what I did is, I listened to some more books. My other two children actually my son, who was having trouble sleeping through the night, and I'd go in and work on him for just a few minutes. So I ordered up a couple of other books on tape, learned about it, and then my wife had known a massage therapist who had taken the course years ago and recommended I should try it. And I looked into it, and so I did. And, I wasn't expecting to be very busy with this. I thought that, maybe a few clients here and there. But I was always wanting to help people. So when I took the course, I probably did more research. I practiced more before I had my exam and all that. And anyway, I'm fully, I'm licensed to practice and all that, or not licensed, not the right, certified to practice, I should say. And so we had a daycare in our home, and I got a couple of clients came, and then they told people. And within that year, I was full-time. I was seeing 40, 50 people a week. And that was back in 94. I started in 94. 93, I took my training. And so I've been doing this for almost 32 and a half years, and I just recently retired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the beginning. And I learned a lot outside of the course of reflexology. I learned about intention and a bunch of other things that I'm sure you'll ask me about. But that was the beginning.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know, in depth, all of that.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. And it was a surprise for me, right? I mean, I thought the income would be, supplement the income a little bit, but it was all word of mouth. I didn't do any advertising, anything like that.
Yeah.
And people got results, so they told other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So, what were your like initial thoughts about reflexology and how has it evolved since then?
Well, as I said earlier, like I was a bit skeptical when I was just listening to the book, and um, but it was a healthy skepticism. I wasn't
Hmm.
going in all in. I needed to see proof,
Yeah.
and I got the proof from my clients. Not all clients got great results. Some got um, a little bit of results. Now, the thing about reflexology is that it helps to relax you, number one.
Hmm.
But we can go into this later about how healing, one of the ways that healing takes place in the body.
Hmm.
But as I kept working, um, I was always learning. Like when you take a course in reflexology, you're not finished when you are certified. It's an ongoing learning experience.
Yeah.
You're going to learn, and maybe each person is going to do the technique a little different and all of that. But intention is huge with
Hmm.
this as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Was
Uh,
there a specific moment or experience from one of your clients that made you really believe in the healing power of reflexology?
well, I, I remember one of my first clients who came in. He was an older gentleman, and he had his knee was really bothering him. And he came in. My office wasn't even set up yet. He came upstairs and went in the recliner, and so I worked on him. And when we were finished, he gets up off the chair there, and he goes, "By golly, my knee feels a lot better." And I'm thinking, what a nice gentleman. I
Hmm.
figured he was just doing that to kind of compliment me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but then he went back to work. He told somebody, a salesman who had come in, whose back was really, really sore. He had heard it, and he sent him. And I thought, well, maybe if he's going to send him, maybe that guy did get results. So
Hmm.
he came. He came. This is like my first client, and so it's just snowballed from there. But the second person that came, this referral with his back sore, he goes back to the office afterwards, back to this first gentleman's office. And he walks in and he's bending and twisting. He says, "My God, I don't know what that guy did, but my back feels just fantastic." And so, and I still was a little bit skeptical because
Yeah.
I think part of this is placebo. Part of it
Hmm.
is my intention, your intention, how open you are.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of things that go on, and you could apply this to any modality, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was the very beginning, and it convinced me, but I also knew it wasn't going to work like this for every single person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So, for the people that have no idea what reflexology is, because anytime anyone asked me what you did for a living and I said reflexology, a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't know what it
Yeah.
was. So, can you explain what it is and how it works?
Okay. For folks that know a little bit, like they've heard about it.
Hmm.
They think first of all that reflexology is for foot problems. If
Right.
you got a sore foot, you sprained your ankle, something like that. And it really isn't that way, but because we're working on the feet, we often help the feet. Now, you can work reflexology through the hands, through the ears. I've set up where I've just do the feet because
Hmm.
I found that was my beginning. That's what I found people got the best results for me personally. Not someone else might get just as just as good results from doing the hands as well.
Yeah.
But each reflexologist kind of finds their own way because I just want to say, like, it's not a cookie cutter kind of thing where
Hmm.
you do this, and this, because there's intuition, and you're asking a lot of questions because we're not allowed to diagnose or prescribe, but we
Right.
can suggest and we can say, well, if this was me, this is what I would do, that kind of thing. So, um, yeah, it's a very individual. It's an art. I will say this right now in the theory of reflexology or the definition. I guess the definition, and I'll go into more of how it works. The definition, originally they had the word art in it, and it was a healing art based on the theory that there's reflexes in the hands and feet and other parts of the body that, when nudged, triggers responses in the body, and it encourages healing. So it's a little different for everyone. But it's not just for foot problems. No, not at all. It's for everything else, really. And I explain that when they come in. They'll say, yeah, I got a sore foot. I have plantar fasciitis. I got some ankle issue. I got this and that. And I always tell them right away that by working on your foot, I may help your foot, but we'll check everything else out too,
Right.
through the body. Yeah. Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about like the physical aspects of reflexology, but how does reflexology connect the physical, emotional, and energetic bodies? Because I know it's all connected.
It is all connected. So my intention to help, I might say a little prayer. I'm washing my hands before I start the treatment, and I just ask for guidance. I ask that if it's permission to help, that kind of thing. I just do that quietly in my own way, and then I start the treatment. Spiritually, there's a lot of stress right now going on, and we are dealing with a lot of things in the world. And we have to learn to try to meditate or try to relax or try to let go of things and not be in such a reactive mode. So when you're getting a treatment, you got an hour of relaxation. And for me, it's become, I'm not a counselor, but it's become where, since I retired, a lot of people have told me they miss the conversation. They miss the, that kind of connection, the conversation. I hope I answered it. I'm not sure if I answered that question. It's very early here in the morning.
So, oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's good. So one of my favorite things that you did was the number system to do a quick little check-in. So can you explain what that is and what points are most often sore on people and whether or not that it's usually physical or emotional?
Okay, so the number system, now this is something I've sort of developed on my own. Now, for most people, now I'm blind, so a person can fill out a form and all of that, and a permission sheet to sign, that kind of thing. A lot of practitioners do that. So what I started doing years ago was I said, don't tell me anything, because I want to check to see what I can find out what's wrong first. And what that does is it helps to validate reflexology. So if you're coming in for a reflexology treatment, if you're open to it, and if you've had results before, that's a big part of the results. Because I try not to take I don't want to take all the credit when somebody gets results. I want them to know that their intention, their belief, that kind of thing. So what I do, there's a number system. I use 1 to 5. Massage therapists will do, a lot of them will do 1 to 10. Now I just use 1 to 5. So I said, okay, I'm going to press on some spots on your feet. I don't know how many, but it only takes about 4 or 5 minutes to do it. So I'll press and I'll say, out of 1 to 5, 5 is where you'd want to pull away. 5 is very tender. And 1, you can barely feel it. You're aware of it, but you barely feel it. So I do this right at the very, very beginning. And the reason I do it at the beginning is because if I do this later in the treatment, because the person, let's say they've already got results, I'm not getting a true reading of them. I want to check these numbers out right at the very, very beginning. And they don't know what I'm pressing on. I'm not telling them. I'm just saying, okay, what number is this? What number is this? And I go through this routine on the feet. Now, they'll say, oh, that's a 4, that's a 5, that's a 3. Now, when I'm doing the treatment, just, I try not to press too hard, but I do use pressure. And right now, the way it's being taught is they say light is just as beneficial. And that may be so, but for me, my clients seem to like the pressure, and they like to know they've been worked on. When they leave, their feet are tingling. They feel like they're walking on air, that kind of thing. Now, that's just the feet itself, but you can imagine what it might be doing inside your body.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm done the numbers, I'll say, according to reflexology, here's what's showing up. And I'll say, okay, your left hip, it was about a 4, you said. Your left shoulder, your gallbladder, your thyroid is showing up a little bit. Now, this is all according to reflexology, because I'm not diagnosing. I'm just saying according to reflexology. And then somewhere up in the 90%, I never took, I never documented it, but up in the 90%, people say, that's exactly what's going on. And they're like, wow. But the numbers, and as I say, I'm very careful not to diagnose, but then I'll give suggestions that are just basic things like hydration, getting enough sleep. What do you hate to give up the most in your diet? What kind of stress are you dealing with these days? Because our body is affected by so many different things, not just our diet, our stress, our sleep, everything. And we have an hour. It's like a counseling session, really, for me. And this is now they took the word art out of the definition in the Canadian reflexology one, the Reflexology Association of Canada is the organization I belong to. They took the word art out, which doesn't really matter to me, but it is an art. It's you develop this because you don't want it as a cookie cutter thing. I want to pay attention to my intention. I want to listen to their voice, how much stress is in their voice. I'll listen to their breathing. Are they relaxed? Are they stressed? And it is a counseling session for some, and others kind of conk out. They'll fall asleep, and I just work on them. And as I said, I was at one time there, and I cut way back because I couldn't handle that many treatments in a week. I was doing 40 to 50 a week. Yeah. And I did that for probably 20 years to start with, and then I started slowly cutting back. And I also have kept my prices. I'm probably one of the cheaper ones that, it's not as expensive because I want to help people. I make good money and everything like that, but I want to help people. It's not about the money. It's about helping people.
Yeah.
And that's a big mistake I think some practitioners do. They're trying to count up how much they can earn. But your intention is so powerful. Everyone's intention is powerful. So, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're explaining like what you do and the counseling type aspect of it. It's very similar to my practice with Reiki.
Yeah.
Like I do a little ritual before I start my Reiki sessions, and then I test out all the chakras before I start to see where they're at. And then we don't talk during the session, but after the session we talk, and it's usually very therapeutic. So
yeah, and like I know when you've been home, and I give you a treatment, you'll say, "Could you do the numbers?" And I'll do them, and then you'll say, that's often you'll say that's what someone else has. You went to a naturopath, or you went to somebody, and it's verification then, and that's really good to have, because then it's easier to believe. Yeah. It is easier to believe when you get confirmation, and that's why I do the numbers at the beginning as well. And that's my style, or that's my art. Yeah. Somebody else will do it another way. And there is this spa kind of treatments that are just really for relaxation. And I'll suggest things, but I'm not diagnosing, I'm not prescribing. And because this is one other thing, I don't sell any products out of my office, because I could be influenced then. If I got a case of, whatever acidophilus in the cupboard, And I think I better get rid of that. I might find a way to sell that person that I stay away from that completely.
Yeah. That's what
You
I
know,
find is an issue with a lot of
mm,
alternative like
yeah.
practitioners is they're just selling stuff. So it's nice not to
Well,
have that.
well, and the thing I've noticed, and I'm retired now,
Hmm.
this year, but what I have noticed, the price of everything is so high,
Yeah.
and I just, are you doing it for the money, or are you doing it to help people?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, I think that would be if somebody's looking into whatever modality they're going to practice.
Hmm.
Um, if your intention is clear, you want to help this person. Um, that's really, really, really important, because there's no point in someone coming and you charging twice as much as me, selling them a bunch of products, but then you'll never see them again.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
because yeah, yeah. Oh, and by the way, with the numbers, I do a file on my computer now. I can't see print, so I use an audio program on my computer. After the session, when they're gone, I'll do a little file on the computer and I'll record what showed up, what the numbers were, what we talked about, and even things that was going on in their life. That so next time they're in, I listen to that recording, and I might ask about their mom who was sick 2 months ago.
Hmm.
Because it's all about helping people. It's not about just collecting money and look how much money I made. And I worked long hours and I loved what I did. It was easy money.
Hmm.
So you know what I mean?
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So with the point system, do you
Mm.
find there's a spot on people that is most sore, like that shows up most often?
Um, I would say neck and shoulders,
Hmm.
lower back, probably the hips, and then digestion.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I can also feel the tension in the feet.
Hmm.
When I'm working on them, I can feel their foot tensing up, even if even if they're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say digestion, lower back, neck, shoulders. A lot of that's stress related. A lot of it is poor diet. Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes when you do the number system on me and something shows up,
Mhm.
you talk about how it might not be a physical thing, but something emotional. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so let's say the solar plexus diaphragm area is quite sore,
Hmm.
and you're not experiencing necessarily any pain there. You don't have heartburn. You're um, not having any issues that you know of, but that area is very tender. So then I ask questions. So the numbers are there for me to ask questions. So if something is a 5 or a 4 or 5, I'll ask them, what are you doing about it? Like if their neck and shoulders are sore, I will ask them. They might need a new pillow. They might need that kind of
Hmm.
whatever it is. They need more sleep. They're at the workplace. They're getting their neck and shoulders flared up. Poor diet, but then they start opening up because they're relaxed. It's sort of like the person on the couch with the counselor. They start feeling trusting in me and opening up, and then you start finding out things that are going on in their life, maybe the relationship with somebody. um, there are some stress that's going on, and it's going to show up lower back, uh, thyroid, anywhere on the foot things can show up, but those ones I mentioned earlier, the diaphragm, solar plexus,
Hmm.
that's your yeah. And I haven't learned really too much about the chakras, that kind of thing, but um, what I've done too, a lot of practitioners will do 7 or 8 different modalities. Now that may work for them, but for me, I like to stick with one modality and
Hmm.
tell and because I can't fix or I can't help everybody. I mean, like, so I say, this is what I do. And if it's beneficial, and, come back if you like. And, I'm not trying to do some, and I know some people do that. It's that old thing, jack of all trades, master of none, And this is what's worked for me. And I've had a lot of suggestions from people who said, well, maybe you should do this and this and this. And I said, look, this is working for me. You can go to somebody who's really knowledgeable about Reiki or about some other modality. I'm not. I just do reflexology, and a lot of it is self-inflicted. What you hate to give up in your life, that kind of thing. So the emotional stuff, it's all stored in there. You bet. You bet. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And I might tell them to maybe take a yoga class, do some meditation, give yourself permission to do things. Those kinds of things. Yeah. So it is a counseling thing for me. That's just me. Somebody else, they might not say anything, just press on all the spots and hope for the best, but I want people to have some information. So what I've said to people is I try to motivate people to make changes, give them good information that's not way out there. It's the basic stuff, just the simple stuff. Start with that. Water, deep breathe, stretch, get enough sleep, cut back on your sugar. There's a whole list of things you can do that's not going to cost you any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about kind of your ritual before you start a session. So I do something similar where I ground myself and then I do a little prayer before I start Reiki. Is there anything else you do to prepare yourself energetically before a session?
If it's a new client, I was saying there how when I'm washing my hands, I'll ask for guidance, I'll ask for help to help this person. And, I have a lot of faith in just strictly the reflexology. So I don't do a lot of before the session. I ask questions, and actually, I ask questions after I do the numbers because I want it to be validated. Like, well, how would he know that my left elbow is tender?
Yeah.
And so we start from there, and everyone's different. That's the other thing. Sometimes I'll forget to do the intention. That's fine. It's still gonna help. Like, I'm trying not to make it too much of a cookie cutter thing, but So I once I get the person on the table, some use recliners. But I find a massage table, I built my own. I find that's better for me because when I'm doing 7 or 8 treatments a day, I need to be really comfortable.
Yeah.
Where in a recliner, you're sitting on a stool. I mean, that definitely could lead to my own tension in my shoulders and neck and back. So, yeah.
So I know for me, before I figured out how to protect my own energy, I was very drained after doing a Reiki session because I felt a lot of their energy. So did you find that with your own practice or like what do you do after a session to kind of ground yourself?
Okay. So at the beginning, when I took the course, they said that, nobody would have the energy to do 7 or 8 of these a day. And when I first started, I did a treatment on somebody and I'd be absolutely wiped out afterwards because I was giving them, I didn't understand that at the time. And I'd say, oh boy, they're right. 1 or 2 treatments, I'm done, So, but over time, it was 3 treatments, 4 or 5, and I wasn't pushing it. People say, oh boy, you're working too hard. But really, if you love what you do, and your intention is there time goes by pretty darn quick, and the hour is up,
Mm-hmm.
and the other thing is you develop a lot of friends. I have so many friends that from doing my practice
Mm-hmm.
that are still. I'm retired now, but they're dropping in. They're calling. Is it okay to come by? Like, I've had so many clients that. Yeah. So what you're asking is, at the beginning, I did that more. I would go lay down. I would do some deep breathing. I would ask for, hope that the person has results. I'll sit quietly for a while. That's how I restored myself with energy, But
Mm-hmm.
after a while, I was so busy that I just went one after the other. And but because I enjoyed it, I didn't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, I mean, when I was working those long hours, oh yes, I was tired because it was a long day, like anybody else that puts in a long day.
Mm-hmm.
And then one other thing with that, it got a lot easier because a lot of my clients were permanent clients. Like they would lock in every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, a permanent spot with me. And once I got to know them
Mm-hmm.
and comfortable with them, it was a lot easier. It didn't zap me, it didn't zap my energy.
Yeah.
But I still would notice that though now, even now when a new client came, I'm really finding that it was more energy. I would take up more energy because I was trying to cover everything.
Right.
Yeah, and then once I got comfortable with them, you get to know them.
Yeah.
They're relaxed, I'm relaxed, and then I don't have to worry as much about protection and doing all
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
yeah.
similar to what I've found. Like I do like a ritual before to protect my own energy, but I do find with certain clients that I've seen many times and I enjoy doing
Mm-hmm.
Reiki on, it's just so much easier and I
It's
feel
very.
way better after. Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Mhm.
That's it. And because I have a regular clientele, it would only be maybe once a week I'd have a new client.
Right.
So I got lots of energy for it, and yeah, that's right, exactly. When you're more comfortable with them,
Mm-hmm.
it's way easier to just let's get the treatment done and chat, and yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of injuries over my life, and you've helped a lot with those physically,
Hmm.
but you've also taught me my whole life how important our thoughts and beliefs are. So can
Hmm.
you talk about the importance of mindset in the healing process?
Yeah, well, our belief is really, really powerful, and that's why. Um, Now, belief is something. Most people, we need some confirmation on that,
Mm-hmm.
and so when you get results, then you believe in reflexology. Let's say, then you're going to get more. Like, I don't want somebody just blindly coming in and, oh, this is, yeah, I heard about this. I don't. I want everyone's different. Everyone is an individual, and I'll tell people, look, realistically, this isn't magic. This is, I'm going to nudge your body to heal. I don't say it that way, but that's what I'm doing. I'm nudging your body to heal. If you can reduce your stress, stay hydrated, get enough rest, get rid of some of the baggage or whatever's going on in your life, that all contributes to healing. And so I'm not. Um, it's not magic, we and it's really your ability to heal. It's not me healing you. It's your ability to heal, and I talk about that. I let people know that it's not me. It's you. That's doing the healing. I'm nudging things to happen. I'm nudging, giving you a safe environment, and realistically, this is going to take a few weeks. This is going to take a while for you to get better. It's not an instant. I'm not a healer, and that's a lot of people call me a healer. They'll say, "Oh, you're a healer." Everybody's a healer these days, but actually, the individual is doing the healing, and they have to kind of give you permission to heal. They have to, just let their let their own body do the healing. But you got to have time. We're in such a hurry all the time. Everybody wants to get fixed right now, right? But in the healing, you want to learn too. You don't want to just have, okay, fix me up and then off you go, and you haven't learned anything from it. It's an ongoing learning thing.
Yeah.
So we have to be realistic here about our healing. Our body takes time to heal, and while we're healing, we should learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the problem is because we're abusing our body, or we're not getting enough sleep, or whatever it might be, we're not drinking enough water, we're eating too much sugar, whatever those things, so it's going to happen again if we don't learn. So healing doesn't just happen like instantly. If you learn from it, you have a better chance of that. That's a better kind of healing than just somebody, saying, go to somebody and then the next day you're 100%. If that problem was self-inflicted, you often don't learn because, that person fixed me up and off we go. And that happens a lot in this kind of area because we're not, it's an ongoing learning. Our body, that's why we're here we're living a world of lots of stress. Most of it, we have nothing to do with it, and we have no way of, we just got to take care of ourselves and our family. Mm-hmm. What's going on in some other countries, if you can help, great, but most of the time we can't, and we're always stressed out about it, and we're on the social media, and everybody's in a rage, and that's all contributing to our poor health.
Yeah.
There's books like, Keep It Simple. I think it was called Keep It Simple, Stupid, or something like that. KISS, yeah, that's what it was, KISS. And there's a lot of truth to that kind of stuff. Be gentle, be kind. So many people are so angry, and that's all, like, try to be more positive, but don't expect a miracle. There are people who are pretty amazing at helping people, for sure. But can we learn from it at the same time? Because most things are self-inflicted. Yeah, and what we hate to give up the most is probably what causes the most trouble. So if you hate giving up sugar, if you don't want to give up sugar, for example, well, then you're going to keep having that issue,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what are some common mental or emotional blocks you notice in people, and how do they affect the body?
Well, the belief is probably the first one. I'll never get better. I'm a terrible person. I mean, how people feel about themselves has a lot to do with our physical health. Mm-hmm. If we're if we're upset about the little things, like getting so upset, we can't handle the bigger things that come along.
Yeah. And
we have to believe, we have to keep it simple. That's really the only answer. And the blockages, I don't use that term as much as you would, because with Reiki, you're clearing energy. And I'm doing the same thing, but it's, because I can have an hour of conversation with the person, I usually just go with giving them tips and showing them that this is probably why this is going on, and whatever it is. Like, they don't get enough sleep, they're arguing with their partner, they're so invested in being right, they're angry, they're on social media too much. All of that is getting, I suppose, stored in our system. And then some little thing happens and the person just falls apart. It's a collective thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What mindset shifts have helped you the most in your personal development?
I would say, for me, to be gentle, like not to freak out about everything. And I had an experience years ago where I was traveling with my daughter, my other daughter, and we were down east, and we'd planned the day out, and we'd go to do this, different things. We went to see, we were visiting people, but I would make my intention in the morning, and if I found that if I stay calm and gentle, and allowed it to happen, a lot of things just showed up in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Where if it's fear based, and I'm like, well, where is it? I wanted this, and it's not showing up in my life. We get kind of upset, and we want it now. All of that. I found being gentle is saying it's easy. When you're angry and you're frustrated and you're waiting for it, and then you're where is it? You're saying it's hard. There's
Mm-hmm.
easy and hard. That's the two things I work with. So
Yeah.
I'd say just being gentle is to start with, calming down. And for me, I do some deep breathing. I do 20 minutes, usually in the morning, of slow, deep breathing. And I set my intention for the day. I'll go over who I'm seeing that day for clients.
Mm-hmm.
And and I make my intention, and often it shows up. It's amazing. I mean, that's a whole nother area, to be gentle and calm and set your intention and wait for it to happen. It may not happen instantly. It might happen tomorrow or the next week, but not to get all upset that it's not happening like right now.
Yeah.
Because I think that alone can contribute to really good health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you are enjoying this episode, make sure you stay tuned for next week, where we'll be doing part 2 of this interview. In this part, my dad gets very vulnerable about his health issues going on and talks about his mindset around his cancer diagnosis. It's very vulnerable, but he provides a lot of value. And I just think his mindset around it is so amazing. So make sure you stay tuned for part 2. You don't want to miss out on that. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would be so grateful if you would rate and review this podcast and share it with someone you think would benefit from it. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. You can find me at growthroughit.pod. You can also use the anonymous link in the show notes to ask any questions or suggest future topic ideas. Thank you guys so much for listening today. This was so much fun. And remember that you are worthy. See you next time.